What's going on today, guys? Today I thought I'd do a video on the top 10 tools needed for beginning auto mechanics. Now these are the tools that you would need day one when you show up to work in a scenario where you're probably going to be doing rotates, oil changes, brakes, just general maintenance items until the shop feels comfortable with putting you onto something more advanced. As you can see, I have them laid out across the table here of what I feel you need to have these days in order to rotate tires, change oil, do brakes, rear end services, transfer cases, general stuff along those lines. Things you would do in a quick lube bay. Because most of you, when you apply and get your first mechanics jobs, that's what you're going to be doing, regardless if you come out of school or not, because that's where they feel the most comfortable with putting you until you can prove that you're not going to mess things up in a manner. Until you can prove that you're not going to mess things up to the point of absolute disaster. I've seen guys show up day one who put a wrench to a car, and then I'm working on it for the next 6 months trying to figure out what in the world they did to it. And you think it would be unbelievable to hear of such things, but it's not. But anyway, let's get started. I'll bring the camera in for a tighter shot. I'll display the tools, and we'll talk a little bit more about them. And I want to remind you guys that these tools are in no particular order. I believe as long as you have at least the majority of these tools, you should be able to get by. But if you had all of them, you'd be able to change oil, rotate tires, do anything, no problem. But number one on my list is a 3-inch or 3/8 socket set, ratchet, and extensions. They make several, long, short, it doesn't matter. If you come in and you had some extensions, a full socket set, and you could have just either shallow or deep, or if you could afford both, get both. You'll use them. But if you came in with extensions, a socket set, and a ratchet, you could get by with a lot. This right here will get you going and keep you going for a long time. And this will definitely do the basics. Item number two on my list, or items number two on my list, just some pliers. Simple. You can do lots of different things, get into areas where you can't reach. Certain brake calipers still have cotter pins on them, so these will be very useful for that, as well as a oil filter wrench or oil filter pliers, however you want to put them. And they make the different band wrenches and different claws and all sorts of different things. But if you came in and you had just a generic set of pliers, set of needle nose, and an oil filter wrench, that right there will get you by for a long time, at least till you can afford to get some more tools, because there's all sorts of different and specialty type of pliers that you will need once you're doing other things. But like I said, to start off with, this right here will get you a very long way. Item number three on the list, some screwdrivers. Flathead, Phillips. Modern day cars, you're going to see more Phillips head screws, and really modern cars, you don't see screws at all. They've all gone to Torx bits. But just a simple set of screwdrivers. These will remove flaps, remove little clips, get in there, take screws out, because a lot of times they have these oil filters hidden up behind things, or you gotta release a flap to get them down, or some of them you gotta remove a full skid plate off the thing. But like I said, you have just a basic set of screwdrivers, you can get a lot done in a small amount of time with a basic set of screwdrivers. And like I said, they make all sorts of different kinds of screwdrivers. They make them that are, long, short, like that's short, They make them all sorts of different ways, but those right there will get you started and get you by for a long time. Item number 4 on the list would be a set of wrenches. Now, I never used wrenches much when I was turning, well, I never used wrenches much when I was a tech, but I did from time to time, and I would use them. Now, this right here is what I suggest you buy, just a simple box-end wrench. These right here, this will do the job for years to come, get you by. If you have a little bit more money to spend, you can move up into a ratcheting wrench. These right here are, I think, one of the best things ever invented. But if you have a little more money to spend, you can get a set of these for not bad. I mean, you can buy these all over the shop. You can buy them down at your local auto parts store. Harbor Freight sells them anywhere. And they make wrenches like this, where they're ratcheting on one side and fixed on the other. These are more specialty, but it was the most complete set I had that was easy to grab out of my toolbox. So I just brought a whole complete set up here. But anyway, with a set of wrenches, you can get all sorts of, with a set of wrenches, you can get the nuts, the bolts, all the stuff. You know, certain brake caliper bolts are crammed in behind something, and you need a wrench to get them out. Like I said, this right here, you get a basic set of these wrenches, and it'll last you a good long while, get you by until you can get some more, or you might find out that you're just not using wrenches, and these might last you a very long time because, like I said, you might not be using wrenches, but I feel that they need to be on the list. All right, let's get on to the next one. Item number 5 is Torx sockets, or these are T-handles. I use these a lot in the dealership, and I use these a lot too. If you don't know what a Torx is, this is a Torx socket, but it's got a star head on there. And you will see this mostly, well, you see them in everything anymore, but you will see these in a lot of cars that are European in style. They use these for a long time, but that's where you'll see these. But everybody uses them. Ford, Chevy, Dodge, everybody uses these anymore. They're just becoming the standard, stuff like that. But just to start you out with, just a nice basic little socket set like this. You got the majority of the sizes you're going to use. That's about all you'll really need, like I said, because certain air filters you got to get in there and do, and like air filters you'll need them, like to take the skid plate off the bottom of a Focus. That's all Torx bits. Like I said, when I was working in the dealer, used these all the time. I was a real big fan of these T-handles. If you notice, it's got 2 ends on here, so you can get more leverage or less leverage. You can get it down in there, get the spin on. You know, I use these a lot. And like I said, if you were just changing oil in a scenario, these could take off, you know, little splash shields, air cleaner lids, you know, places where you're going to find them. You know, I've seen oil filter flaps, get to an oil filter, they have a little Torx screw on them. So these right there, that would do it. Like I said, these T-handles also cost a lot less than these sockets, especially when you're talking about Snap-on. But like I said, you can get all this stuff at Harbor Freight, your local auto parts store. And another thing too is, once you get the job, like if you come in there with the socket set and the majority of everything else we're talking about, and you find out that you just need one size, like you need a, what is it, a 40? Like if you just need a 40 to take off the skid plate on this certain model of car that comes in there, most places just sell a 40. So you can just go buy the one you need so you can continue to do your job without having to buy a whole kit. And okay, item number 6 is a hammer. Now, they make all sorts of different types of hammers. These have metal ends, they make them with soft ends, they make rubber mallets, they make great big old sledgehammers and stuff like that. For the majority of the time, you're going to be using something like this or something like this around these two sizes here. This is a 32-ounce hammer. This is a 16-ounce hammer. These are ball peen hammers. This is what you're typically going to find in a shop. But every now and again, you'll get a wheel that's stuck and you need to give it a little encouragement. Do not hit the face of a wheel with a metal hammer, or you are going to have a bad time. But you know, you'll have wheels that are stuck, rotors that'll be stuck, you know, bolts and nuts that you put a wrench on and you give it a little tap with a hammer to get it to turn. Not saying that that's the best idea, but it is an option. But like I said, item number 7 on the list is pry bars. Like I said, stuff gets stuck, stuff don't want to come off. You know, transmission pans are notorious for just staying up there because they hate you. But a good set of pry bars, and like I said, they sell pry bars most time in kits and sets. But you'll find some of the real big ones, they'll be individuals. But buy a nice pry bar set like this. It'll help you get leverage on things, get brake calipers off, stuff like that. You know, pry bars will get you a long way, and just a simple kit will get you far. Number 8, I'm going to say, is a set of impact sockets. Now these are 1/2-inch drive impact sockets. This is an old Max set that I've had. This is the first tool, this is the first set that I ever bought off a tool truck. Back in Nevada where I used to live, when I first started, we just had a Mack truck that ran around, and this was the first thing I bought off of that truck. I still have it. Like I said, when you spend a little bit more money on the tools, you can keep them for a long time. Now, not to say that you know, if you go to Harbor Freight or any of these places like that, that they're going to screw you over or sell you crap tools, but some of the stuff they have in there is just junk, and I wouldn't recommend it. But a lot of the stuff in there is fine, and it'll get you by for years. Over there in an old toolbox, I have a set of Pittsburgh impact sockets, and I thought about dragging those out here, but I said, nah, let me do this kit. This kit has a lot of sentimental value to me. But this is just a nice, simple kit. It goes from 10 to, oh, I can't remember. This is 25. There you go. It goes from 10 to 25. You know, this right here, like I said, I had this for years and years and years before I finally replaced it with another set that went larger. But this right here is really nice. It came in this nice organizer. But these right here, so you can take your tires off, you can take suspension components off, you know, caliper bolts if you can get in there behind there with that. But anyway, that's my number 8 pick. Like I said, these are in no particular order. Now to go along with that number 9, I recommend an impact gun. Now with an impact gun, you can buy them anywhere. I know a lot of people recommend the Harbor Freight Earthquake series for impact guns, and I've had a friend who had one and I used it. It wasn't a bad gun, but it did wear out on him awful quick. It did wear out on him awful quick. But anyway, just a nice simple 1/2-inch impact gun to go along with your sockets, so you can get tires off, suspension components, stuff like that. I'd recommend air. It's going to save you a little bit of money. Well, maybe not anymore, but back in the day, air was cheaper than the electrics, but maybe the electrics have come up or gone down in price. But either air or electric would be fine. And this right here, like I said, tires, suspension components, you know, stuff like that. Some of those big trucks have big skid plates that have stupid big bolts on them. That would be great for it too. You know, that right there, you know, Everybody needs a 1/2-inch gun in their box, and I figure you should have that day one. Along with that, if you're going to be taking off tires and putting them back on, I recommend a torque wrench. Now this is a 1/2-inch drive, just mechanical set torque wrench. You can pick these up anywhere. You know, you're taking tires on and off, you should be torquing them down. Because if you don't get them tight, they can come off, and that's when bad things happen and you're called into an open courtroom. Flashlight. Because if you're going to be on the oil change bay, which a lot of you will be when you're first starting out, you want a light so you can get in there and look at the suspension components, look at the brakes, look at the tires, shine lights up there, find those oil leaks, so that way you can upsell the stuff, which will make the technicians you're working around happier. And then when you're up to the point of doing repairs yourself, that'll make you more money. I guarantee this flashlight will make you more money than this hammer or this pair of pliers, because this flashlight's going to let you see everything that you need to see, get in there, adjust brakes, do stuff like that. I would recommend the rechargeable flashlight. This is a Streamlight right here. This is part of their Stinger series. This is a very good light. I've had lots of these over the years. I've lost them, I broke them, but I keep buying them because they work. They got an amazing battery life on them. I recommend this light. And that right there is the top 10 tools I recommend for starting mechanics day one. Now I did throw an extra item in there, but well, 10, 11, who's really counting anyway? Like I said, if I were to hire you and you walked in with at least the majority of this in your toolbox, I would feel confident in you being able to do the job, because that tells me that you took the time, you thought about it, and you realized, what would I need to start off day one? Always remember, if you borrow something, to treat it with respect, and if it breaks, just be honest about it. I mean, like I said, they're going to be upset, but they'll get over it. Stuff happens. But anyway, this is the top 10 tools I recommend you buy day one for starting mechanic. I'll catch you guys next time.